Good morning. This is now Wisdom Wednesday number 7, and the topic today is called Forgiving Myself. The questioner asks this: I am one of the many survivors of emotional and physical abuse as a child. It's taken me years to come to a place where I can accept the past as it happened and move on in my life with hope and positivity. But I feel I'm expected to forgive my abusers. I fear that if I forgive them, they will think that I condone their behavior, and they won't learn how they crossed my boundaries and how much pain they inflicted upon me. I finally pulled myself out of their grip, and now I'm expected to forgive them? It just doesn't make any sense to me. Yet I do feel stuck because I still carry anger towards them. Really, I want them to apologize to me or to be punished. What does it mean to really forgive? Wow. I bet a lot of you can relate to this situation. It's not unusual for abuse to happen when we're a child. So yes, we can be carrying a lot of anger towards those who crossed our boundaries. And I can understand your difficulty here, because here you are, you're in the middle of healing yourself, you're just getting yourself above water, and then someone comes along and says, well, if you want to heal a little bit further, you got to forgive your abuser, and then you'll be able to feel better. And you're going, I'm not ready for this. And okay, so I can understand that forgiveness seems like you're condoning bad behavior. And even the word forgive gives us the sense that you are now giving your power over to the other person, right? So it does seem like you're condoning bad behavior again. Okay, that's understandable. But there is something to that sense of forgiveness. But we're going to address it in a different way today. So let's just start with whatever experience you have, whether it's a positive experience or a negative experience, as a child or even as an adult. The fact is that when you interact with the external world, your mind and your body is interpreting it a certain way, and then it lands in you with what is called an experience. That's called my experience. So you're holding that experience in your body. And the fact is, you are, in a sense, responsible for that experience, how that plays out in you and how you react to it. You're responsible for that part. Now, as adults, we can make a choice. We can choose that we can choose to interpret an experience in a certain way that I feel good in my body. And we can choose to not have an experience or not think of it in a certain way so that I can still feel good in my body. We have that choice, especially if we've learned how to protect our personal boundaries. So we can do that. But as children, we're vulnerable as children. And so anything can happen to us when we're in that vulnerable, naive place. And anybody can cross a boundary, and we don't even know that they're crossing the boundary. So, in a sense, that part of us that's responsible for protecting our personal boundaries, at that time, at that age, it's not awake yet. It's not aware yet. It's not mature enough. And also, you're in a small little body. How can you, even if you knew that that person was crossing your boundary, how can you shout back and say, don't cross my boundaries? So, you're kind of like, here it is, it's landed on you, and this is a fact, this is a reality, this happens. So what we need to do now is understand that you have moved out, you've taken whatever you could, you did whatever you could to break away from that abusive situation. You grew up in years and you made some decisions and you tried to move on with life. But you're saying you're still stuck. You're still feeling anger, as if that ghost abuser is still there haunting you. Wherever you go, it looks like the abuser is there, and you're angry, and you're getting triggered again and again. So, why are you stuck? This is what needs to be looked at. And I'd like you just to consider this point. Perhaps, maybe, you might be stuck because part of you is feeling guilty for having participated in the abusive situation. Perhaps you might be thinking that you contributed, you participated, or maybe someone said to you, well, that's your fault. You draw that onto yourself. That's your fault. You deal with it. And then you're going, oh my God. So you're in a sense feeling guilty, and that guilt is laying another trip on you. So you're stuck because you can't really blame them, because you're starting to really blame yourself. And think about this. Children are very, everybody takes things personally, and children will take things personally. So whatever happens to them, they think they're the center of the universe. And so whatever's happening, they think they did it, or it's their fault. Even if the child had nothing to do with the actual abuse or not even involved in it and something happened, they still think they did it, or they caused it, or something. It's a kind of a childlike mind in handling it, but the guilt stays inside. So the point here is not really about, okay, now I gotta forgive my abuser, or even that I have to forgive myself, or that I want to get revenge on the abuser. It's just, that's taking it away, too far away. It's not about that. Really what's needed here is you need to learn what your boundaries are. And sometimes life presents a situation that creates pain. So someone crossed your boundary. You didn't know that that was a boundary until someone crossed it, and you start to feel pain. So life gives you a situation. So actually I'm going to share with you a concept that you can just open yourself up to. You can take it or leave it, but I'm going to say this. Life brings you here on earth to learn a few lessons. All right, we've heard this one before. And say life is not meant to depress you or suppress you. Life is really meant about giving you many, many opportunities to expand into completeness and wholeness as your whole true essence is. And wherever there are holes or blindnesses in your soul, life will give you a situation or many opportunities to heal that part that is disconnected and not feeling whole and complete. So let's say, for instance, your soul wanted to heal a blindness called personal boundaries, let's say in this situation. And you, in your past incarnations, never got it. And so, okay, I have never really gotten control over my boundaries. So life presents, when you're a child, when you can't do anything about it, gives you a challenge. And the challenge is someone crosses your boundary. You didn't know until you started to feel the pain. So now, when you grow up, you say, I am never going to let anyone cross my boundaries. And you're like, and you have decided that no one has taken care of my boundaries. My parents tried, but they fail sometimes. Someone came along and abused and walked over my boundaries. And then you realize that, Jesus, nobody is going to take care of it except for me. when you finally take responsibility for that, and you do everything vigilantly, you know, and so in this case, the boundary would be good company. It's like learning to say, well, this is good company and that's bad company. And if I respect myself, I'm not going to let this bad company into my life. And you're going to get sensitive. You're going to know how to do it. You're going to learn a lot in how to protect that particular boundary. So, here. So, what we're going for here is that once your soul, let's say that's the concept, once your soul gets that you have completed or healed this part of blindness in the whole part of you, this section that you're blind in, and you brought more light, more consciousness, more power, then what happens, this is another part of the concept, is that you are complete in that area, which means you no longer need to learn that lesson. Maybe there's other lessons, but not in that area. So say, for instance, if you were to reincarnate again as a child, maybe you will not have an abuser this time because you took care of it. As a soul, you healed that part, which was the lesson you needed to learn. So you don't need to learn that one again. So in a sense, there will be no more abuse attracted to you, or you will no longer attract abuse because you've healed it. Why is it that some people are abused and others are not? That's a question that we kind of like confunkel our brains, thinking, why is it? You know, why is this person, why not that person? Well, according to the concept, whether you want to believe it or not, is that you're responsible for taking care of that as an adult. As a child, what happens is once it's healed, it's like it's in your aura. You won't be attracting that kind of stuff anymore. So the point really is, it's not so much about past lives or what you're doing in your incarnation or whatever. It's not about that. Let's just stick to this one point. Once you have crossed your boundaries, it's your responsibility to make sure you don't cross them again. And that means that if you don't cross them, no one else will, because you're responsible for letting them know that this is not allowed to happen. So I know it's not easy, but it's a path we're on. And once you walk that path, this is how you love yourself. This is how you heal yourself. This is in a sense how you forgive yourself. So I know that's a powerful topic, pretty charged. Feel free to ask questions or, you know, give your opinion or whatever. Love to hear from you. So till next Wednesday, enjoy your week. Bye.